how to do a water change on an axolotl aquarium, or really any aquarium for that matter. So for your supplies, you're going to need some buckets, some towels, a siphon, a liquid test kit, and a dechlorinator. Now when you're looking for a water conditioner, be sure to grab one that has no aloe in it. A good one that's suggested for axolotls is Sea Chem Prime. Some other things you might find useful are some razor blades to help scrape any hard deposits off the sides of the tank, or some aquarium safe sponges to scrub off any algae if you have it. If you have multiple tanks, you might find it handy to use the Python hose or another hose that hooks up to your tap. These can work to empty water from your aquarium and also to put water back into it. Okay, so step one is you're going to test your aquarium's nitrates to see where they're sitting at, and this will tell you how much water you need to take out. Ideally, you want to do a water change between 20 to 40 parts per million of nitrates. After about 40, they can start getting toxic, so it's up to us to get them out of there. So for example, if your nitrates are testing at about 40 parts per million, then doing a 50% water change should cut that down by half into 20 parts per million. Most people's properly stocked aquariums will require a water change weekly. However, if it's lightly stocked, you might be able to get a couple of weeks in there. If it's overstocked, you might find those nitrates get over 40 parts per million a couple of times a week. This means you're going to have to do water changes a couple of times and maybe consider lowering the stock in your tank. So once you've figured out how much you're going to change and you've got all your supplies gathered, you're ready to start. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your siphon, I'll show you how to start it, and you're going to suck up all the crap that you can. Even if you don't see any, you're going to lower that water line. So to start the siphon, you're going to have the end of the hose in your bucket, and you're going to lower this into the water and fill the tube. Once the tube's full, you're going to lift it up, let it start draining, and then dump it back under before it fully drains. If it fully drains, your siphon won't start. And then you're going to just allow it to suck everything up. Now you're going to want to watch this tube and make sure that nobody gets too close to it, especially axolotls. They like getting a little sniffy around there. You don't want them getting sucked up though. You can also start the siphon by just sucking on the end of it and keeping that under the water line. However, that's a little nasty. Gravity should work just fine. It takes a little practice. Next, you're going to take all your filter media out and give them a squeeze in the bucket. You don't want to use tap water for this, just use the water that you took out of your tank. You can also do your sponge filters at this time. Now as you can see here, I've got some calcium buildup here. You can get rid of this by using a razor blade and just scraping it off while you've got the water lower. If you have a plastic tank, just use vinegar for this. You don't want to end up scratching the sides. Now when it comes time to fill your aquarium back up, if you're using a bucket, you can dechlorinate the water directly in that bucket before you add it into the aquarium. However, if you're using a hose that connects to a tap, you won't be able to dechlorinate that water before it goes into your tank, so you're going to need to treat the entire tank's volume. Now, one thing that I find people forget to think about during water changes is where they're setting things, and also keeping their media wet. So don't let your media get too dry, and don't be setting it on any dirty surfaces, any surfaces that you just cleaned with cleaner. Avoid that stuff. One of the biggest mistakes I see new fish keepers make, myself included when I was a kid, is cleaning the tank too much and too well. So if you don't understand the parameters and why you're doing water changes, it can be really easy to go overboard or not do enough. Oftentimes new fish keepers will just do a full water change, they will scrub everything and be super happy that it's all clean, and then their animals will start getting sick a couple of days later, and that's because they have cleaned out all the good bacteria they need to combat the bad bacteria coming from their animals. So there's a little breakdown of how to do a water change on an aquarium, how to know when to do it, and how much to do. If you're confused on what I'm talking about with the parameters and what each one means and how we got to here, check my other videos.